The rain hammered against Castello's windows, the kind of upscale Italian restaurant where a single plate of pasta cost more than Sophie Chen made in a day. She stood in the kitchen doorway at 10:47 p.m., her server's shirt wrinkled from a 12-hour shift. Her phone buzzed, again and again. Sophie's hands trembled as she checked it, angling away from the security camera. Messages from her neighbor. Mrs. Park. Sophie. Emma's fever is 103. She won't stop crying. I gave her the medicine, but it's not working. Should I take her to the ER? Sophie grabbed the counter, breath catching. 103 degrees. Emma was only 18 months old, so fragile, with an immune system compromised from being born premature. Chen. Marco's voice cut through her panic. Table 12 needs their check. Move. Sophie grabbed the check holder and headed back into the dining room. Table 12 was occupied by a single man. Impossible not to notice. Dark suit, salt and pepper hair, late 30s, with sharp features and intense eyes. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. He'd been here for 2 hours, barely touching his food. Your check, sir. Sophie set it down. He glanced up. Gray eyes, the color of winter storms. Something in them made Sophie's breath hitch. Thank you. His voice was smooth, controlled, with the barest hint of an accent. Sophie turned to leave, but her phone buzzed again, loud in the quiet dining room. You should answer that. The man's voice stopped her. It's been going off for 10 minutes. I'm so sorry, sir. It won't happen again. I wasn't complaining. I was suggesting you have an emergency. Sophie's mask cracked. Tears burned behind her eyes. I'm fine. Thank you. She made it 3 steps before Marco appeared. Chen. Kitchen. Now. Marco crossed his arms. 3rd time this week your phone's gone off during service. You're done for tonight. Clock out. What? No, Marco, please. I need this shift. My baby needs medicine and should have thought about that before breaking policy. Clock out, Chen. Please. Sophie was begging now. Please, Marco. My baby's sick. I need this job. I can't lose this job. Marco's expression hardened. Everyone's got problems. Clock out. Sophie walked to the time clock in a daze and clocked out. Her phone buzzed again. She stepped into the back alley to call Mrs. Park, the November wind cutting through her shirt. Mrs. Park? Oh, thank God. Sophie, I think we need to take her to the hospital. She's burning up and barely responsive. Sophie's world narrowed. I'm coming. Call 911 if she gets worse. Don't wait for me. She pressed her forehead against the cold brick wall, trying not to fall apart. The ER would be hundreds of dollars. Thousands if they admitted Emma. Sophie had $247 in her checking account. Excuse me. Sophie spun. The man from table 12 stood in the doorway, his presence larger in the confined space. I'm sorry, sir. If you need something, Marco can help you inside. I heard what happened. Your daughter's sick. I don't need charity. Pride warred with desperation. I'll figure it out. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a job. He moved closer. I need someone to manage my household. Cook, clean, organize. $60,000 a year plus room and board. Health insurance included. You'd start tomorrow. $60,000. More than double what she made now. Health insurance for Emma. I don't understand. You don't know me. I know enough. You're never late, never call out, hardest worker here. You're desperate enough to beg but proud enough to refuse charity. You're a mother who'd do anything for her child. Something flickered in his expression. That's all I need to know. Why would you offer this to a stranger? He was quiet for a moment. Let's just say I believe in helping people who need it. Do you want the job or not? Every instinct screamed this was wrong. Too good to be true. But Emma was sick. What's the catch? No catch. You work for me, I pay you, you take care of your daughter. He pulled out a business card. My name is Dante Moretti. Call me tomorrow morning. Dante Moretti. Sophie's blood went cold. Even she knew that name. Dante Moretti owned half of Manhattan. And if the whispers were true, a lot of things that weren't strictly legal. I'm someone offering you a job. What I am outside of that doesn't matter. Your daughter needs help. I'm providing a way for you to help her. He pulled out an envelope. There's $5,000 here. Take your daughter to the hospital. Consider it an advance on your first month's salary. I can't. You can. You will. His voice softened slightly. Take care of your baby, Sophie. Call me tomorrow. Mount Sinai's ER at midnight was chaos. Sophie sat with Emma in her arms, her daughter radiating heat. Mrs. Park had met them and left after pressing Sophie's hand. We need insurance information, the intake nurse said. I can pay. Cash. Whatever it costs. Sophie pulled out the envelope. The nurse's eyebrows rose. I'll note that. The doctor will be with you shortly. 3 hours later, Emma slept peacefully in a private room. Ear infection, the pediatrician said. Simple, treatable, terrifying when you're 18 months old. She'll be fine, the doctor smiled. But finish the full course of antibiotics. No skipping doses. I won't. I promise. Sophie stroked Emma's hair, watching her sleep peacefully for the first time in days. Alone in the quiet room, Sophie finally let herself break. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Is she okay? Only one person would be asking. Sophie typed back. Yes. They say she'll be fine. Thank you. Good. Call me at 9 a.m. We'll discuss your start date. Sophie looked at Emma, at the IV and monitors. All of this care she could never have afforded without Dante Moretti's money. I'll call. Thank you. Dante sat in his penthouse office, staring at Sophie Chen's employee file. He'd pulled it an hour after the restaurant incident. Single mother, age 26, no family, father unknown on the birth certificate. And there, in the photo from 8 months ago, was the face that had haunted him for 2 years. The woman from that night, the charity gala after his father died. The one night he'd allowed himself to be just a man. They'd talked for hours. She'd made him laugh. Then she'd left before dawn. And now she'd walked back into his life, desperate and afraid, begging for a job while holding secrets she didn't know mattered, because Dante had done the math. Emma's birth date. 18 months old, born in May. 9 months after that night, he had a daughter, and Sophie had no idea that the stranger offering her charity was Emma's father. His phone rang. Luca, his brother. Did you just hire someone without clearance? Luca's voice carried concern and frustration. Dante, what the hell? She's not random. Then who is she? She's Emma's mother. The words felt powerful and terrifying. My Emma. Silence. Then, you're Emma? The timeline fits. She doesn't know. Dante's voice hardened. And no one tells her. Not until I figure this out. This is insane. You can't just bring your unknown baby mama into your home. She's desperate. Her daughter is sick, and she has no one. I'm not leaving them struggling when I can help. Dante stood, walking to his window. Sophie Chen and her daughter are under my protection now. Make sure everyone knows it. He hung up and pulled up the hospital security photo. Sophie asleep in that chair, one hand on Emma's leg. And Emma, small and fragile, with dark curls and features that carried traces of his own, his daughter. He'd missed 18 months of her life. All because of one night where he'd wanted something normal and been too stupid to get a phone number. Now Sophie was coming to work for him, would live in his home while he kept the biggest secret of all. He should tell her the truth, immediately. But he'd seen her desperation, her fear. If he told her now, she'd run. She'd see him as a threat, someone who might take Emma away. No, he'd give her the job. Give her security, let her see he was safe. Then, when she trusted him, he'd tell her the truth. Tomorrow, Sophie would call. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tonight, Dante let himself imagine having them both under his roof, knowing his daughter, earning the right to be the father Emma deserved. It was a dangerous dream, one that could destroy everything if handled wrong. But Dante Moretti had built an empire on dangerous gambles. This one just mattered more than all the others combined. Sophie called at 9:01 a.m. Mr. Moretti? This is Sophie Chen. Dante. His voice was warm. How's Emma? He remembered her name. Something in Sophie's chest tightened. Better. They released us this morning. Good. Can you come to my office at noon? We'll discuss your employment. He gave her a midtown address. And Sophie? Bring Emma. I'd like to meet her. That should have been a red flag. Instead, Sophie just felt relieved. Okay, we'll be there. Mrs. Park smiled knowingly when Sophie explained. A man who wants to meet the baby is a good man. As Sophie rode the subway to Midtown, Emma babbling in her arms, she couldn't shake the feeling she was missing something. Some crucial piece that would make all of this make sense. She thought about that night 2 years ago, the gala where she'd been volunteering. The handsome man who'd made her laugh, who'd looked at her like she was precious. They'd talked for hours, then they'd kissed, then more. She'd left before dawn, terrified of the feelings he'd stirred, convinced a man like that could never want someone like her. 9 months later, Emma was born, and Sophie had never tried to find him. What would she even say? Now, stepping off the subway, Sophie looked up at the building where Dante Moretti waited, sleek glass and steel, modern and imposing. She had no idea the man waiting upstairs was the same man from that night. Had no idea Emma's father was about to offer her a job. Had no idea her world was about to shift. All she knew was that her daughter needed care, and this man was offering a way to provide it. Sophie adjusted Emma on her hip, took a breath, and walked through the doors. Behind the glass windows above, Dante watched on the security monitors, his heart doing something complicated in his chest. His daughter was coming. He just had to make sure her mother never found out who he really was until he was ready to tell her. How hard could that be? The elevator to Dante's office required a keycard for the top floor. Sophie watched the numbers climb, her reflection staring back from polished surfaces. She'd changed 3 times that morning, settling on her only decent dress. Navy blue, simple. Emma wore her best onesie with tiny elephants. "We're going to meet the nice man," Sophie whispered to Emma, who gnawed on her teething ring. "Be very good, okay?" The elevator opened into a reception area with floor-to-ceiling windows and modern art. A receptionist smiled professionally. "Sophie Chen? Mr. Moretti is expecting you. Right this way, down a hallway, through double doors at the end." Dante's office was massive. Windows wrapped 2 walls, the city spreading below. Dark wood, leather furniture, bookshelves with legal texts and first editions. Behind the desk sat Dante Moretti. He stood immediately. In daylight, Sophie could really see him. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair with silver at the temples. His suit probably cost more than she made in 6 months. But his eyes, gray, intense, were fixed on Emma with an expression she couldn't read. "Sophie." His voice was warm. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for seeing us. I wanted to thank you for last night. I don't know how I can ever repay you." "You already did. You showed up." Dante moved around his desk. "And this must be Emma." He stopped a few feet away, something in his expression shifting, softening. He looked at Emma like she mattered. "She is." Sophie shifted Emma slightly. "Emma, can you say hi?" Emma stared at Dante with wide eyes. Then, impossibly, she smiled, a full, delighted grin, and reached for him. "Oh, I'm sorry, she doesn't usually. May I?" His voice was carefully neutral, but something in his eyes was almost desperate. "Yes, if you want to." Dante reached out slowly, and Emma went to him without hesitation. He held her with perfect gentleness, his large hand cradling her back, his expression transforming into something Sophie had never seen. Wonder, pure wonder. "Hello, Emma," Dante said softly, and Emma grabbed his tie, babbling. "It's nice to finally meet you." Finally. The word struck Sophie as strange. "She likes you," Sophie said quietly. "She doesn't usually warm up so fast. I have that effect on babies." Dante's smile was self-deprecating. They sense when someone is completely under their control. Emma pulled on his tie, and Dante laughed. Actually laughed. "Why don't we sit?" Dante gestured to leather chairs near the windows. They sat, Dante still holding Emma, who seemed perfectly content. "I meant what I said. I need someone to manage my household. It's in Greenwich. Large, requires upkeep, manage household staff, coordinate with my schedule, handle domestic arrangements." He paused. "I travel frequently. I need someone I can trust." "Household staff," Sophie repeated. "Like a house manager?" "Essentially. You'd oversee cleaning service, coordinate with my chef, manage repairs, handle anything domestic." Dante shifted Emma with practiced ease. "The position comes with a private suite. 3 bedrooms, full kitchen, separate entrance. Emma would have her own nursery, fully furnished." Sophie's head spun. "That's incredibly generous. It's practical. I need someone on site." His eyes met hers. "And I think you need a fresh start. Somewhere, safe. Somewhere your daughter can thrive." "Why me? You could hire anyone with actual experience." Dante was quiet, Emma sleeping now against his chest. "Because you're willing to swallow your pride for your child. Because you work 3 jobs, and barely sleep, and still show up every day fighting. I need someone who understands what it means to put someone else first." He looked down at Emma. You're not just a waitress, Sophie. You're a mother who'd burn down the world for her child. That's who I want in my home. You don't even know me. I know enough. Dante's eyes locked onto hers. Do you trust me enough to say yes? Trust. That word had been circling Sophie's head since last night. But Emma was asleep in his arms, peaceful and safe. What's the catch? She asked quietly. Men like you don't help people like me without wanting something. Men like me? Dante's eyebrow rose. Powerful. Connected. The kind who can make things happen with a phone call. Sophie met his gaze. I'm not naive, Mr. Moretti. I know who you are. So what's the real reason? Dante stood and transferred Emma back to Sophie's arms. The baby stirred but didn't wake. He walked to the window, hands in his pockets. My father died 2 years ago. Left me an empire I wasn't prepared for. A life that doesn't leave room for anything soft or real. He turned back. I've spent 2 years building walls, making myself harder, colder, and somewhere in there, I forgot what it was like to be human. To care about something beyond business and power. Dante moved closer. Then I watched you in that alley, desperate and afraid and still trying to maintain your dignity. And I remembered what it was like to care about something that mattered. So this is charity. This is me trying to remember that I'm more than my last name. That I can do something good for someone who needs it. Dante's voice was firm. And yes, I need a house manager. But I also need to believe there are still good people worth protecting. You and Emma, you're that reminder. Sophie studied him. 60,000 a year. Full benefits. Private suite. Yes. And all I do is manage your household. Nothing else. Nothing else. You have my word. 3 months. Sophie said. Give it 3 months. If you're unhappy, you can walk away. I'll give you severance and a reference. But give me a chance to prove I'm not the monster people think I am. Sophie looked at Emma. 3 months of security. Of health insurance. Of not choosing between food and rent. Okay. 3 months. When do you want me to start? Is tomorrow too soon? Tomorrow is perfect. Dante's estate in Greenwich was a compound. Sophie stared through the car window as they drove through iron gates. The driveway curved through manicured grounds, past gardens and fountains. Then the main house. Stone and glass in modern lines, sprawling across the property. 3 stories, multiple wings, countless windows. This is where you live? Her voice came out small. This is home. Dante glanced at Emma, sleeping in her car seat. Your suite is in the east wing, private entrance. You'll have access to the main house, but your space is yours. A woman appeared at the doors. Older, silver hair, elegant posture. Sophie, this is Maria. She's been with my family for 30 years. She'll help you get settled. Welcome, dear. Maria's voice was warm. She looked at Emma. And who is this beautiful angel? This is Emma. Babies always know when they're safe enough to rest. Maria touched Emma's hand gently. Come. Let me show you your rooms. The suite was perfect. Living room with comfortable furniture, kitchen with new appliances, cabinets stocked with basics. 2 bedrooms, one with a queen bed, the other transformed into a nursery that made Sophie's throat tight. A handmade crib, changing table fully supplied, shelves with books and toys, a rocking chair by the window, even a baby monitor, already, things set up. Mr. Moretti had me furnish the nursery yesterday, Maria said softly. He wanted Emma to have everything she needed. This is too much. Mr. Moretti believes in taking care of people properly. Come, let me show you the rest. Maria showed her the main house. Kitchen where Chef Antonio prepared meals. Formal dining room. Library. Office for coordinating with staff. Everything was beautiful. Expensive. Intimidating. Don't worry, Maria said. You'll find your rhythm. Everyone here is kind. We're more family than staff. Mr. Moretti makes sure of that. How long have you worked for him? 30 years. I started when his father was alive, when Dante was just a boy. Maria's expression softened. He's changed since his father died. Harder now. More closed off. But I see glimpses of the boy he was. She looked at Sophie meaningfully. Maybe having someone like you here will remind him. Maybe Emma will bring back the softness. Sophie's phone buzzed. A text from Dante. How's Emma? Is she settling in okay? Sophie looked at Emma, who'd woken and was exploring the living room, pulling herself up on furniture. She's good. Loves the nursery. Thank you for this. You're welcome. See you at dinner. He asks about her a lot. Maria said knowingly. I've worked for this family a long time. I know when Mr. Moretti cares about something, and he cares about that baby. About both of you. Sophie wanted to ask why, but Maria was heading toward the door. Rest today. Unpack. Tomorrow we'll show you the routines. You're safe here, Sophie. Mr. Moretti protects what's his, and he's made it clear that you and Emma are under his protection. After Maria left, Sophie stood in her new living room, Emma playing at her feet, trying to process 24 hours of change. Yesterday, fired, broke, desperate. Today, living in a mansion, Emma healthy, security she'd never dreamed possible. All because of Dante Moretti, a man she'd known less than 2 days, a man who held secrets in his eyes and gentleness in his hands when he held her daughter. Emma crawled over and pulled herself up using Sophie's legs. When she succeeded, she looked up with the biggest smile, proud. We're going to be okay, Sophie whispered, picking her up. This might be crazy, but we're going to be okay. Dinner at 8 meant a formal dining room with a table that could seat 20. Sophie felt ridiculous at one end with Dante at the other, Emma in a high chair between them. Antonio had prepared something beautiful. Sophie couldn't identify half of it, but it tasted incredible. Emma happily destroyed a bowl of pasta, her face covered in sauce. How was your first day? Dante asked. He looked good in casual clothes, jeans, and a fitted black shirt. Overwhelming. Beautiful, but overwhelming. Maria gave me the tour. Everyone was lovely. You won't break anything, and if you do, we'll replace it. Dante smiled slightly. Material things don't matter. Only people do. Easy to say when you have so many material things. True. He took a sip of wine. But I'd trade all of it for what you have. Sophie blinked. What do I have? Dante gestured toward Emma, trying to feed pasta to her stuffed elephant. That. Someone who loves you unconditionally. Someone who makes you laugh. Purpose beyond power and money. His voice was wistful, sad. Sophie's defenses cracked. You could have that. A family. Children. Could I? Dante's smile was bitter. You know what people think. What kind of woman would choose this life? What kind of child would be safe? People have families in all circumstances. Not people like me. Dante set down his glass. My father had a family. It got my mother killed. She was shot in a parking lot when I was 12. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong last name. My father never recovered. Never let himself care about anyone again because caring was dangerous. Sophie's chest tightened. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago, but his eyes said it still hurt. I learned young. If you love someone in this world, you make them a target. Better to be alone than put someone you care about at risk. That's a lonely way to live. It's a safe way to live. Dante looked at Emma. At least, I thought it was. Before Sophie could ask what he meant, Emma threw her bowl of pasta. It sailed across the table, splattering sauce everywhere, narrowly missing Dante's shirt. Sophie lunged forward. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll clean that up. Dante was laughing, deep and genuine, his whole face transforming. It's fine, Sophie. It's just a tablecloth. A probably $1,000 tablecloth. A replaceable tablecloth. Dante stood and picked up Emma, who grinned like she'd accomplished something wonderful. You have excellent aim. We'll work on trajectory next. Emma babbled and reached for him, and once again, Dante held her like it was natural, like she belonged there. You're good with her, Sophie said softly. Most men don't know what to do with babies. I've had practice. My brother has 3 kids. I'm the uncle who gets called when they need someone to chase them or convince them monsters aren't real. Sophie smiled despite herself. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone colder, more dangerous. Someone who wouldn't care about pasta being thrown. Dante looked down at Emma. I am dangerous, Sophie. I am cold when I need to be. But not here, not with her, not with you. The weight of those words hung between them. Sophie felt her breath catch. Before either could say more, a door opened. Voices echoed down the hallway, sharp and urgent. Dante's entire demeanor changed. The soft man disappeared. He handed Emma back to Sophie with precision. Stay here, he said, his voice flat, commanding. He was gone, striding toward the voices. Sophie sat alone, holding Emma, listening to muffled, angry conversation. Male voices. One of them, Dante's, sharp and brooking, no argument. Emma whimpered, sensing tension. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Sophie held her closer. It's okay, baby. We're okay. But Sophie wasn't sure. She'd forgotten what Dante Moretti was. Had let herself believe in the gentle man who laughed when pasta was thrown. Now, listening to those hard voices, she remembered. She was living in the home of one of New York's most powerful criminals. The question was, how long before that reality became dangerous for her and Emma? Sophie looked at her daughter, already falling asleep, and Sophie made a decision. She'd stay the 3 months. She'd take the security, but she wouldn't forget what this world was. Wouldn't let herself be fooled by kindness and careful hands. She'd protect her heart and her daughter. When the 3 months were up, she'd walk away. It was a good plan, a smart plan. Sophie just hoped she could stick to it. 6 weeks later, life at the estate had settled into rhythm. Sophie coordinated with Maria on schedules, worked with Antonio on meals, managed repairs. It was challenging but satisfying. For the first time, she had a job that used her brain, and Emma thrived. Cheeks filled out. Slept through the night. Hit milestones her pediatrician called advanced. She's flourishing, doctor. Reynolds had said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Sophie knew what the difference was. Security, stability, and Dante. Dante came home early 3 times a week for dinner. He'd taught Emma to clap, and she did it every time she saw him. He read her stories in Italian, making her giggle. The way he looked at Sophie sometimes, like she was a puzzle. Like she mattered. You're staring again, Maria said. They were in the kitchen, reviewing schedules while Emma played with blocks. I'm not staring. You are. At Mr. Moretti's calendar, wondering when he'll be home. Maria smiled. It's Thursday. He's always home by 6 on Thursdays. I was just checking when to coordinate with Antonio. It's okay to care about him. He's a good man underneath all that armor. I don't care about him. Not like that. He's my employer. Is that why you started wearing mascara to dinner? Why you check the mirror before he comes home? Heat flooded Sophie's cheeks. I don't. You do. And he does the same. Changes his shirt, makes sure his hair is neat, finds excuses to be wherever you are. Maria's expression softened. I've known him since he was a boy. I've never seen him like this. The way he looks at Emma, at you, like you've given him something he thought he'd lost. Maria, I'm just saying, sometimes the walls we build end up being prisons. Maybe it's time to consider that those walls aren't keeping you safe. They're keeping you lonely. Before Sophie could respond, Emma squealed. Dante stood in the doorway, and Emma was crawling toward him at top speed. Da! Emma shouted. Da da da! Sophie's heart stopped. No, Emma was just babbling. But Dante had frozen, his expression transforming into something raw. He dropped to his knees as Emma reached him, and she pulled herself up using his leg. Da-da, Emma declared proudly, patting his knee. I'm sorry. Sophie moved forward. She's been making that sound all week. She doesn't mean, it's okay. Dante's voice was rough. He picked Emma up carefully, and she grabbed his face with both hands. It's fine, Sophie. But it wasn't fine. Sophie could see it in the way his hands shook slightly, in the way he closed his eyes for just a second. I should correct her. She can't call you don't. Dante's eyes opened, meeting hers, and Sophie saw pain, longing, grief. Please, just let her call me whatever she wants. But it did matter. Sophie could see that it mattered more than anything. Maria had quietly left. Emma happily babbled da-da-da while playing with Dante's tie. She's attached to you, Sophie said. I didn't expect that. Maybe I'm not a stranger to her. Dante's voice was soft. Maybe some connections are deeper than logic. The words hung heavy with meaning Sophie couldn't grasp. Dante shifted Emma to one hip. I need to talk to you about something. After Emma's asleep tonight, it's important. Sophie's stomach dropped. Am I in trouble? No, nothing like that. His expression was unreadable. Just meet me in the study at 9, please. Then he was gone, carrying Emma down the hallway, her babbling fading. Sophie stood alone, Maria's words echoing. Sometimes the walls we build end up being prisons. Sophie put Emma to bed at 8:30, reading stories and singing lullabies. She stood by the crib watching Emma's peaceful face. "Dada," Emma murmured in her sleep. Sophie's chest tightened. She couldn't let Emma get so attached to a man who wasn't her father. When 3 months were up, they'd leave. Emma would be heartbroken. Sophie would be heartbroken. She'd broken her own rule, had let herself care, had let herself imagine what it might be like if this were real, if they were a family. Stupid. Sophie checked the monitor, then headed to Dante's study, heart in her throat. The door was open. Dante stood by the window, whiskey in hand. He'd changed into jeans and a navy sweater. "You wanted to see me?" Sophie stayed in the doorway. "Come in. Close the door." Sophie did. "If this is about Emma calling you, it's not." "Well, it is, but not how you think." Dante turned. "Sit down, Sophie, please." She perched on a leather chair. Dante sat across from her, and for a long moment, he just looked at her. "I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you from the beginning, but I was afraid you'd run. Afraid you'd take Emma and disappear." Sophie's pulse kicked up. "What are you talking about?" 2 years ago, I went to a charity gala, 3 weeks after my father died. There was this woman helping with coat check. She had dark hair and kind eyes, and when she smiled, I forgot my life had been destroyed. Sophie's blood went cold. "No, we talked for hours," Dante continued. "About everything. She made me laugh, made me feel human, and when the night ended, I kissed her, and she kissed me back. And we went to my hotel room and I had one perfect night where I got to pretend I was just a man." "Stop." Sophie's voice was barely a whisper. "I woke up alone. She'd left before dawn. No note, no number, just gone. And I looked for her, Sophie. I looked for months." Tears streamed down Sophie's face. "You knew. This whole time you knew. I recognized you that first night. Then I saw Emma's birth certificate. Did the math. Realized the daughter you were raising alone was mine." Sophie stood abruptly, backing away. "You lied to me." "I know. You offered me a job, brought us here, spent weeks playing house, and you never said anything." "I know." Dante stood. "Sophie, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you, every day, but I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Afraid you'd see me as a threat. Afraid you'd think I wanted to take Emma. Afraid you'd run before I had a chance to prove I was safe." His voice was raw. "I was wrong. I should have told you immediately. But I was selfish and scared, and I just wanted time. Time to know her. Time to show you I could be trusted. By lying?" Sophie's laugh was bitter. "Yes. It was wrong." Dante ran his hand through his hair. "But Sophie, I've missed 18 months of her life. I can't get that back. I just wanted a chance to be her father without you looking at me like I was trying to steal her." "You are trying to steal her." "No. I'm trying to give you both the life you deserved. The life I should have been providing." Sophie wanted to scream, but part of her understood. She'd left that hotel room without a note, had disappeared without giving him a chance, had made the decision to raise Emma alone without telling him he was a father. She'd robbed him of those 18 months just as much as he'd robbed her of the truth. "You should have told me," Sophie said, but her voice lacked conviction. "You should have told me. You were pregnant." Dante's voice was gentle but firm. "We both made choices, Sophie. Both kept secrets. Both were afraid. The question now is, what do we do about it? What do you want?" "I want to be Emma's father. Officially. Legally. I want my name on her birth certificate." Dante moved closer. "I want to provide for her, protect her, watch her grow up. But I don't want to take her from you. I want us to be a team. We made her together. She deserves both of us." "Together," Sophie repeated. "What does that mean?" "It means we figure this out. As partners. As co-parents." Dante paused. "As friends, maybe. If you can forgive me. Friends." The word felt hollow. But what had she expected? "I need time. Time to process this." "Of course. Take all the time you need." Dante's expression was carefully neutral. "But Sophie, we're not going anywhere. This is your home, yours and Emma's. Whether you stay with me or not, you'll always have a place here. That's not conditional on anything." Sophie nodded numbly. She made it 2 steps before his voice stopped her. "Sophie?" She turned back. "For what it's worth, that night 2 years ago, it wasn't just one night for me. I looked for you because I thought maybe you could be the one person who saw me as more than my last name." He smiled sadly. "I was right. You did see me as just a man. You just didn't know which man I was." Sophie fled before the tears could fall. She didn't sleep that night, just lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying every moment since that night in the alley. Dante had known. Every kindness, every gesture, every time he'd held Emma or made Sophie laugh or looked at her like she mattered, he'd known the truth. But as dawn broke, Sophie had to admit something to herself. Nothing about his behavior had been manipulative. He'd been kind because that's who he was, had loved Emma because she was his daughter, had cared for Sophie because, why? Because he felt guilty? Because he felt responsible? Or because maybe, just maybe, he'd meant what he said about that night mattering to him? Sophie's phone buzzed. A text from Maria. "Emma's up and asking for both of you. Breakfast in 20 minutes? Both of them. Like they were a unit. Like they were parents together." Sophie got up, changed into jeans and a sweater, and went to get Emma from the nursery. Her daughter was standing in her crib, bouncing excitedly, her face lighting up when she saw Sophie. "Mama." Emma reached for her, and Sophie's heart clenched. "Good morning, baby. Did you sleep well? Dada?" Emma looked around hopefully. "Yeah, we'll see Dada." The word felt strange in Sophie's mouth, acknowledging it, accepting it. "Let's get you dressed." By the time they made it to the kitchen, Dante was already there, coffee in hand, looking like he hadn't slept either. His eyes met Sophie's, uncertain, waiting for her reaction. Emma squealed when she saw him, reaching out desperately. "Dada." And Sophie made a decision. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acceptance. Emma deserved her father. And Sophie couldn't keep them apart just because she was hurt and angry and scared. "Go ahead," she told Dante quietly. "She wants you." Something in his expression cracked with relief. He took Emma gently, and she immediately started babbling to him about something only she understood, her hands waving expressively. "Is that right?" Dante asked seriously, like he understood every word. And then what happened? Emma babbled more, and he nodded along, completely engaged. Sophie watched them together, seeing what she'd been too blind to see before. The way Emma's eyes were the same shade as Dante's. The way she tilted her head when she was thinking, just like he did. The way her smile transformed her whole face, a mirror of his rare, genuine smiles. They were father and daughter. It was written in every gesture, every expression, every moment of connection. And Sophie had kept them apart for 18 months. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. Dante looked up, surprised. "You have nothing to apologize for." "I do. I left that hotel room without a word. I made the decision to raise her alone, without ever trying to find you, without giving you a choice." Sophie's voice was thick. "You missed her birth. Her first smile, her first word, all because I was scared and ran away. You were 19, pregnant, alone. You did what you thought was right to protect yourself and Emma." Dante's voice was firm. "I don't blame you for that, Sophie. Not for 1 second. But nothing. We both made choices based on fear. Both kept secrets we thought were protecting the people we cared about. We can spend forever assigning blame, or we can move forward." He shifted Emma to his other hip. "I vote for forward, don't you?" Sophie looked at her daughter, happy and safe in her father's arms, and felt something loosen in her chest. Something that had been wound tight for 18 months. "Forward," she agreed. "But I have conditions. Name them. You don't make decisions about Emma without consulting me. We're partners in this, equal. Not you swooping in to take over because you have money and power." "Agreed. You don't lie to me again. Ever. Even if you think the truth will hurt. I deserve honesty." "Agreed. And the same goes for you. No more secrets between us. Deal." Sophie took a breath. "And one more thing. Emma calls you Dada, fine. But she needs to understand that we're not. That you and I aren't. Together?" Dante's voice was carefully neutral. "I understand. We'll make sure she knows we're her parents, but that we're not a couple. That we're just friends raising her together." Friends. There was that word again, and it hurt more than it should. "Right," Sophie said, forcing a smile. "Friends." Emma, oblivious to the tension, grabbed both their hands and pulled them together, laughing delightedly like she'd accomplished something. "Wonderful. Mama, Dada," she announced proudly. And for a moment, standing there in the kitchen with Dante's hand warm in hers and Emma between them. Sophie let herself imagine what it would be like if friends could become something more. Then she remembered all the reasons it couldn't. The lies, the manipulation, the vast gulf between their worlds, the reality that Dante Moretti was offering her partnership in parenting, not love. She gently extracted her hand from his and stepped back, rebuilding the walls she'd let crumble. "Breakfast?" she asked, her voice bright and false. "Breakfast," Dante agreed, and Sophie didn't let herself look at him to see if he was disappointed or relieved. Forward, they'd agreed. But moving forward when her heart wanted to stay right here was going to be hard. 3 weeks later, Dante was Emma's father officially. He spent every evening with her, taught her words, read stories, and Sophie watched, her heart breaking. Because Dante was wonderful. Emma adored him. It was everything Sophie wanted for her daughter. But Sophie felt unnecessary. Dante had what he wanted. His daughter. Sophie was just the mother who'd kept his child from him. "You're thinking too much," Maria said, finding Sophie in the library. "I'm fine. You're miserable." And so is he. Both pining, both too stubborn to admit it. He never said, "You've made it clear you only want friendship." He's in love with you, Sophie. Has been for 2 years. Before Sophie could respond, shouting erupted. Frightened shouting. Maria's face went pale. Sophie followed Maria, running. They burst into the living room. Dante surrounded by armed security. A box on the coffee table. Inside, a photograph of Emma playing in the gardens. Written across it in red. "We know about the girl. How much is she worth to you?" Sophie's world tilted. Someone was threatening her daughter. "Pack a bag," Dante said, his voice hard. "You and Emma, now." "No." Sophie moved closer. "Tell me what's happening. Someone is threatening my daughter. I'm getting you both somewhere safe while I deal with it. Deal with it how? However I have to." This was the Dante everyone feared. "I'm not running," Sophie said. "We're staying, and you're telling me what's going on." Sophie. "No. You wanted partners? Honesty? Then be honest. Who sent that? What do they want?" Dante stared at her, then turned to his security team. "Give us the room." They left. When they were alone, Dante's shoulders sagged. "The Castellano family has been trying to move in on my territory for months. I've been pushing back." His voice was weary. "I knew they'd eventually come after something I cared about. I just didn't think they'd find out about Emma so quickly." "So this is your fault." Sophie's voice was cold. "Your war put our daughter in danger." "Yes. No excuses. My life, my choices, my enemies. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Then what do we do?" "You and Emma leave. I'll set you up somewhere safe, somewhere they can't find you. New identities, new life. You'll be protected but removed from me." It was exactly what Sophie had planned. 3 months, then leave. Except now it felt impossible. "What about you?" "I deal with the Castellanos. Make sure they understand threatening my family is a death sentence. And then? Then you and Emma have the life I can't give you. Safe. Normal." He was pushing them away, just like 2 years ago. And Sophie realized she couldn't let him do it again. "No," she said firmly. "No? No. We're not leaving. We're staying, and we're dealing with this together." "Sophie, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're scared, afraid loving us will get us killed. So you're pushing us away, convincing yourself it's for our own good." Sophie moved closer. "But Emma needs her father. And I'm not going to let fear make that decision for us. This isn't fear. This is reality. So we make it less dangerous. We deal with the Castellanos. We strengthen security. We do whatever we have to keep Emma safe while keeping her family intact." Sophie's voice cracked. "She deserves a father, Dante. And you deserve a chance to be one." "I can't lose you," he said finally, his voice raw. "Either of you." "Then don't," Sophie said softly. She placed her hand over his heart. "Don't lose us. Don't push us away. Stay and fight and trust that we're strong enough to handle your world. You shouldn't have to. Maybe not. But we're here anyway. And we're not leaving." She looked up at him. "I forgive you, Dante, for lying, for keeping secrets. I forgive you because I understand, because I was scared too. Because I ran away once, and I'm not doing it again. Sophie, I'm in love with you," she said, the words rushing out. I've been in love with you since that night 2 years ago. And I'm still in love with you, even though you lied, and I'm terrified, and this is complicated." Dante's eyes were wide, vulnerable. "You love me? I love you. And Emma loves you. And we're not going anywhere. So you're going to have to figure out how to keep us safe while keeping us close." Dante's hands cupped her face and his lips were on hers. Sophie kissed him back like she'd been waiting 2 years. When they pulled apart, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "I love you," he whispered. "I've loved you since that first night. When I found you again, even before I knew about Emma, I knew I couldn't let you go. So don't. I won't. I promise, Sophie, I won't." He pulled back to meet her eyes. "But we do this smart. We protect Emma. We end the Castellano threat. And then we build the life we should have had. Together? Together. As a family. For real this time." Sophie smiled through her tears. "I like the sound of that." "Me too." Dante kissed her again, softer this time. "Me too." A throat cleared from the doorway. They turned to find Maria standing there, holding Emma, a knowing smile on her face. "Sorry to interrupt," Maria said, not sounding sorry at all. "But someone woke up from her nap and wants her parents." Emma's face lit up when she saw them. "Mama, dada." She reached out, wanting both of them, and Sophie and Dante moved together to take her. Emma settled between them, one hand on each of their faces, looking delighted that her favorite people were finally in the same place. "Family," Emma declared, like she'd been waiting for this moment all along. And looking at Dante over their daughter's head, seeing the love and determination in his eyes, Sophie finally believed it was possible. They were a family. Complicated and unconventional and forged in secrets and second chances, but they were real, and they were worth fighting for. The Castellanos had threatened the wrong child. They were about to learn exactly what Dante Moretti did to people who threatened his family. The war with the Castellanos was brief and brutal. Dante called in every favor, leveraged every alliance, made it clear that touching his daughter was a line no one crossed without consequences. Sophie didn't ask for details. She'd learned that some parts of Dante's world were better left unknown. What mattered was that within a week, the threat was neutralized. The Castellano family had issued a formal apology, backed off entirely, and made reparations that ensured they'd never be a threat again. Dante had kept his family safe, and he'd done it without becoming the monster Sophie had been afraid he might be. Now, 2 weeks later, Sophie stood in the estate gardens watching Dante push Emma on the swing he'd had installed just for her. Emma's delighted giggles carried across the lawn, and Dante's laugh followed, pure and genuine. "You're staring again," Maria said, appearing beside her with 2 cups of tea. "I'm allowed to stare at my own family." "Your family," Maria smiled. "I like the sound of—" "Me too." Sophie accepted the tea, warmth spreading through her chest. "Did you ever think we'd get here? That first night when I showed up desperate and broken, did you think this would be possible? I knew Mr. Moretti cared about you both the moment I saw how he looked at Emma. And I knew you cared about him when you stopped calling him Mr. Moretti in your head." Maria's eyes twinkled. "The rest was just time." "Dada, higher!" Emma's voice carried across the garden. "Any higher and you'll fly away." Dante called back, but he pushed her higher anyway. Sophie's phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Reynolds confirming Emma's checkup next week. Another text from the lawyer Dante had hired, finalizing his name on Emma's birth certificate. Everything was falling into place. "Mama," Emma called. "Come!" Sophie set down her tea and jogged toward them, and Dante caught her hand as she approached, pulling her close. "Hi," he said, his smile soft and private. "Hi yourself." "I was thinking," Dante said, still pushing Emma with one hand while holding Sophie with the other. "Maybe we should make this official." "Make what official?" "This. Us. The family we've built." He stopped the swing gently and turned to face her fully. "Marry me, Sophie." Sophie's heart stopped. "What?" "Marry me. Not because of Emma, not because it's practical, but because I love you, and I want to spend my life with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to fight with you about stupid things and make up and teach Emma that love is real and lasting and worth believing in. Dante, I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I've wasted 2 years, Sophie. I don't want to waste any more time." He pulled a small box from his pocket, and Sophie's breath caught. "Say yes, please." Inside the box was a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Yes, Sophie breathed. Yes, of course yes. Dante slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her while Emma clapped delightedly in the background, not understanding what was happening, but knowing something wonderful was occurring. Mama, Dada! Emma bounced in the swing. Happy. Very happy. Dante agreed, not looking away from Sophie. The happiest I've ever been. And Sophie, who'd spent 2 years convinced she'd never see him again, who'd raised their daughter alone, who'd been offered a job in an alley and walked into a life she couldn't have imagined, finally let herself believe in happy endings. Because this was hers. This complicated, unconventional, absolutely perfect family. They'd been forged in secrets and lies, in desperation and second chances, in fear and courage and love that refused to be denied. And they were real. 6 months later, the wedding was small. Just Maria, Dante's brother Luca and his family, a few close friends, and Emma, in a flower girl dress that made her look like an angel. Sophie wore cream lace and carried wildflowers. Dante wore a dark suit and couldn't stop smiling. When they exchanged vows in the estate gardens, Emma stood between them, holding both their hands, already understanding that this made them permanent. I promise to love you, Dante said, his voice thick with emotion. To protect you, to be honest with you, and to never let fear keep me from showing you how much you mean to me. I promise to trust you, Sophie said through happy tears. To be your partner in everything, to love you even when you're being difficult, and to remind you every day that you're more than your last name. You're the man I love, the father our daughter adores, the home I didn't know I was looking for. When the officiant pronounced them married, Emma cheered, and everyone laughed, and Dante kissed Sophie like she was his entire world, because she was. That evening, after the celebration, after Emma was tucked into bed, Dante and Sophie stood on their balcony overlooking the grounds. Happy? Dante asked, his arms around her. Happier than I ever thought possible. Sophie leaned back against him. Do you ever think about how we got here? How many things had to go right and wrong for this moment to exist? All the time. Dante kissed her temple. I think about you leaving that hotel room, and how devastated I was. I think about you raising Emma alone, and how strong you had to be. I think about that night in the alley, and how close I came to not being at that restaurant. Do you regret any of it? I regret not having those first 18 months with Emma. I regret the fear that kept us apart. He turned her to face him. But I don't regret the journey that brought us here. Because it made us who we are. It made us appreciate what we have. That's very philosophical for a crime boss, Dante laughed. I contain multitudes. That you do. Sophie stretched up to kiss him. I love you, Dante Moretti. I love you, Sophie Moretti. He said her new name like a prayer. My wife, the mother of my child. The woman who saved me from becoming everything I was afraid of. You saved yourself. I just reminded you who you were. Then we saved each other. And standing there in the moonlight, in the home they'd built, with their daughter sleeping peacefully inside, Sophie knew he was right. They'd saved each other. 2 broken people who'd found each other twice, who'd built a family from secrets and second chances, who'd chosen love over fear. It wasn't the life Sophie had planned. It wasn't the life Dante had thought he could have. It was better. It was theirs. And it was perfect. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.